The greatest player on the planet got a shiny new toy, but still couldn't get it done against the lowly Timberwolves. What are we to make of LeBron James and his future, both with the Lakers and with the NBA? We'll talk about it here in the opening segment of the show. It's Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. 20 of you Tolos already watching the live stream. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube is where you can find us. Jump into the conversation, chat it up about everything that we're going to talk about on the show today. LeBron James here in this first segment. We'll talk about Ian Shefflin switching sports at Clemson. Coming up at 3:20, Ryan Day peaked my BS meter in a conversation he had with Josh Pate. We'll hear what he had to say, and so much more, including, are we just making too much about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend and the fact that he might be a kidnap victim? Ooh. We'll talk about that at 4 o'clock. Welcome into the show, Tolos. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. We want you to call in. Be an active participant in the show. You can also text in on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Same number, 844-FAN phone. That's phone misspelled with an F. Welcome into the show. If at any point over the next 4 hours you just see Cole start crying, weeping uncontrollably, it'll be because the news has dropped that LeBron James has officially hung up the sneakers. Ugh. He will not play any more NBA basketball. I know you're going to take it hard when that day eventually comes, whether it's next week, whether it's next month, or whether it's a year from now. We just don't know when LeBron is going to hang it up. He's playing still pretty good basketball. He faded a little bit over the course of this series against the Timberwolves. He went from 38 points in game 3 to 27 points in game 4 to 22 points in game 5. Maybe getting a little tired. Believe it or not, when you're 40, you just don't have the same lung capacity. You don't have that same gas pedal, that gas tank that you used to have, even though he is in by far way better shape than probably anybody listening to this show right now. We still can poke fun at a guy who's in much better shape than us not being able to get it done. Cole, what does your heart tell you about LeBron James when he decides to hang it up?
It's going to tell me a lot. I don't think it's this year. And the real quick, I would disagree, push back on lowly Timberwolves. I think they're really, really, really good.
I meant that from an historical perspective. Yeah, from an historical perspective, they are the lowly Timberwolves.
This team's legit. They've got a chance to go make a run in the Western Conference. I don't know that he hangs it up. We'll ask our 420 guest, Diesel, coming up in the next hour. Brett Siegel, who will join us. He is a national NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints.com. He has joined us on the show before. You've heard him here before. You'll hear him again today at 4:20 right here on the Fan Upstate. We'll talk Lakers. We'll talk NBA playoffs, Celtics, and a lot more with Brett at 4:20. So we'll ask him that question. Diesel, however, my heart tells me that he's not hanging it up. LeBron James has always liked the spotlight. LeBron James has always liked the ability to control the narrative, Diesel, and I do believe that I would go 60% farewell tour, 40% no farewell tour in terms of whenever he does announce his retirement. I'm leaning 60 to 65% that when he does decide to hang it up, that we will see one final season and everybody will know it.
Oh, God, are we going to see another Kobe farewell tour where teams are just letting him score, letting him set ridiculous records? What's the record for the most number of points ever scored in an NBA game? Somebody's going to let him do it.
80-something maybe.
Whoever is the last place team at the time, they're going to let LeBron score 80 points just so he can have another record, even though we'll all put a mental asterisk next to it and say, all right, that's kind of a BS record.
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100, which, again,
100 on the nose?
100 on the nose. No offense to the guys he's playing against. If you went back and watched the YouTube highlights in that game, I would bet that it would look like it was pickup basketball for Wilt Chamberlain. Still impressive.
See, that's where we need advanced analytics and cloud computing and people with PhDs to find the answer to that question. What would happen if you took guys who were crazy talented back in their era, guys that played in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and if you could apply the same modern training techniques and rules of the game, how would they perform in today's game? That's always a fun conversation. I promise you we're not going to turn this opening segment into a Michael versus LeBron conversation. It's just fun food for extra thought here.
Wesley says it wasn't on film, talking about Wilt Chamberlain. You're probably right. 1962.
So he's pulling a Pixar. It didn't happen on us? Come on, Wesley.
Also, Stephen Webb says, thought you guys were going to be at Ingles and Spartanburg. No.
That's next week.
I don't know. And it's Thursday.
Yeah, today's Thursday.
Today's Tolo Takeover Day, Stephen. Hope to hear from you then. What's up, Stephen, Brian, OG, Tolo, JB, Wesley? So many of you already in the stream.
You know, it's really an unfair question to ask LeBron, is it time for you to hang it up? As a matter of fact, he was asked that in multiple different ways during the post-game press conference last night. Terrible timing, but of course people are going to ask the questions anyway. Here he was asking the question, how many more years do you see yourself playing?
How many more years will we see you play? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I'll sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens. And just have conversations with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now.
Were you in that press conference, Cole? Somebody was tapping on a laptop.
This? Like that? Is that what our,
that's what I was hearing.
Tolos
all throughout that and I promise you, I was looking at Cole. He was not typing.
Better than heavy breathing. I mean, we've heard that. We've heard that during the press local too.
What's more annoying? Hearing somebody breathing?
I think it's more like this.
Oh, when the nose starts to whistle a little bit because there's a boogie in there.
God, are you out of breath? God.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand why they ask him that question. It's what everybody wants to know. And they're going to ask him every single year. Every time he has a bad performance, they're going to ask him, are you going to hang it up, LeBron? Do you feel like that's the performance that breaks the camel's back? And the answer is LeBron's going to retire when LeBron wants to retire. You know, he was even asked if this year and the resurgence of this year's team, especially with the addition of Luka Doncic, gave him some extra belief to keep him hungry to come back and play next year.
I walk into the practice facility and walk into this arena with high energy all the time, you know, and I just try to spill that to my teammates. Try to spill the belief into my teammates, play as hard as I can, do whatever I can out on the floor while I have the opportunity to do it. But, you know, I think the only thing is it's up to me if I want to, you know, continue to play or how long I want to continue to play. It's ultimately up to me. So it has nothing to do about anybody else.
It comes down to a question of values. What does LeBron value right now?
Well, to me, Diesel, it comes down to what Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss are going to do. Like, I know ultimately the audio you just played, he said it. It's in his hands. It's up to him. And we're going to get the phone lines in just a second. It is up to him, but I don't think it is. I think it's up to what Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss are willing to do in the offseason, because this isn't a championship team. They don't have the depth. They don't have a center. Their center right now is about as productive as me and you out there, Diesel. 2 points a game. I mean, that's all you can get. You're an NBA player, Jackson Hayes, and all you can do is score 2 points a game. He's just not good. They lost Anthony Davis. They lost that rim defender. They lost the size in that trade. Yes, they got one of the best players on the planet, but we talked about this when the trade happened. We talked about Luka's great. However, to get Luka, what'd they give up? Size and depth. That's something they're going to have to address in the offseason. If they address it and go make some big moves, I think LeBron will come back because he'll believe it's a championship team. But without that, Diesel, they're not a championship team right now.
Yeah, Jeannie Buss has to build him a team that could essentially win the championship without him. And then he gets to come in and sort of be icing on the cake, sprinkles on the cake, go collect another ring. I mean, again, for me, it's a question of what does LeBron value in his life right now? He's 40 years old. He's still a young guy. He's still in great shape. He's got a lot of business prospects ahead of him. You know, he could go act. I've seen a couple things that he's been in. He's not bad. He's not. I mean, I didn't watch Space Jam 2, but you know, there's a couple other movies and TV shows that he's been in the past. He's okay on camera. I mean, does he want to go enjoy more time with his family? More time doing other things that make him happy? Or is this kind of a Tom Brady situation where being a competitor, being on court is what makes him happy.
Yep.
It is his identity. And so he'll do it for as long as he possibly can. Again, I cracked on his scoring dropping off from 38 to 22 points from game 3 to game 5. Still putting up 22 points puts you in, the top probably 15 or 20 in the league as far as scoring goes, if all you're doing is scoring 22 a night.
Let's go to the phone lines. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Tony in Gaffney wants to weigh in on the conversation. What's up, Tony?
Hey, guys, it's TA. Forgive me. I feel like I swallowed a bush full of pollen. So it's terrible. But anyway, I love when the show starts out on fire. I was watching Stephen A. Smith this morning, and Big Perk wants to blame the demise of the Lakers and fought their way all the way back to the number 3 seed on J.J. Redick for playing the same 5 players in game 3 the whole third and fourth quarter. Well, that was all he could do. LeBron James was resting on offense. They had nobody else that could come in and, like you say, protect the rim and even protect blow-bys. Like Luka, they made him sound like a dog because he hurt his back last night. He had like 8 blow-bys, as they call them, where people just run around him. I know he's not considered by no means the greatest defender anywhere, but the guy, his back, was having spasms. He goes out, they come in, and people run around him. Rudy Gobert was averaging 3 points a game. He goes for 27 because there's no bigs to protect the rim. 2 things. Number 1, LeBron James will be back. He will be back. Number 2, like y'all have already said, they've got to get rim protectors, paint protectors, ever how you want to word it, and just people that can defend the wing. I mean, luckily, last night Minnesota went like 3 for 25 from the 3-point range, but you have to be able to defend the wing, the perimeter, and you have to be able to defend the paint. And like you said, Luka, maybe, he won the scoring title last year. He led the team in points in the playoffs this year. So I think he's a 6-time All-Pro guy now at 26 years old. So there's no doubt 10 more years of phenomenal offense.
TA, who would you get in the front court?
Who would I get in the front court? I mean, AR-15, he showed me a very bad side, Austin Reeves, in this first round. I thought he was coming into his own at the end of the season when they made a run to get that 3rd seed. He was on fire. They were saying we got our big 3. Well, Austin Reeves fell off the planet in the playoffs. He played like no good.
Yeah.
No bueno. No good. So, again, and LeBron is 40. So I think in the second half of game 4, he took 0 shots in the fourth quarter. And you can't have arguably your best player on the floor, even though they say Luka because of his age. But LeBron, possibly the GOAT of all time, takes 0 shots in a series that was really tight, except for game 4.
Sure.
And they're blaming it on J.J. Redick for not making any substitutions. Well, you're going to bring Gary Payton in, Jr., to guard Rudy Gobert, who's just taking offensive rebounds off the board and slamming them down people's throat. I mean, it was just a bad matchup for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Minnesota has the new GOAT in the league, and they have depth and they have length. So I wouldn't be surprised. And last year, they beat the defending NBA champions in the playoffs,
Sure.
the Denver Nuggets.
Sure.
So Minnesota's really tight, guys. Don't sleep on Minnesota to make a really good run here. And again, except for game 4, the Lakers, were 2 to 3 possessions out of every game, and it was all because of offensive rebounding. I'll let you go. I've lost my voice. Great show.
Thanks, TA.
Tony,
always appreciate
he
you.
gave it everything he had.
He did. You know what? He is. I'm glad he brought up Anthony Edwards, Diesel, because I had that on the rundown as well. The Lakers, we all know, need some serious depth and big. They need a big man. We know that, to TA's point just now. But he said the new GOATs in Minnesota. Look, here's my stance on Anthony Edwards. When you talk about comparing players to the all-time greats, they have to be able to back it up, right? So I'm not going to compare Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan yet. However, I will tell you this. Anthony Edwards, Diesel, has so many traits that Michael Jordan had. He's just a stone-cold killer, and he's going to be good. People don't understand the magnitude of what he just did. He beat a team that fought their way back to the 3 seed, to TA's point. He's him. Like, he's going to be around for a long time, and a championship is loading for Anthony Edwards, in my opinion. I don't know if he'll ever have the career that LeBron or Michael had, Diesel, in terms of accomplishments, but goodness gracious, that guy's just – there's something different about him.
I did find something interesting that TA said there. He called Anthony Edwards the new GOAT.
Yeah.
The new GOAT? He was like 22 years old, 23 years. You can't call somebody a new GOAT. That's not a thing.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't call him that yet, but that's my point. He's got so many traits that are similar. And man, watching him in this series, if he were to go on, Diesel, and somehow win it all this year, if Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves were to go win it all, this guy's going to turn into a force to be reckoned with. He's only getting better. And I don't know. I'm just saying he's here.
I do wonder how ready LeBron's wife and other kids are. I mean, Bronny's already in the NBA, but his other kids, how ready are they to have him back home? Right? I mean, she's been without her husband at 50% of the time while he's out on the road. And I'm sure probably a higher majority of that of other time when he's even at home. Is she ready to have him back? Right. I mean, we talked about it with Tom Brady, with Giselle. You know, is it worth blowing up your marriage to go play one more season? Is LeBron's wife just that super supportive? She'll let her husband do what he wants and follow his own dreams, or is she ready to have him back? I mean, obviously LeBron said in that first clip that we played that he's going to have to consult with his family. He's going to have to consult with his support group and the people around him to decide, is now the time, or should I go out and lace him up one more year? I just, if he's going to do it, if he's going to go play another year, obviously we want him to give everything he's possibly got, not do kind of a half-ass tour of duty and go out there and score 50 points a night because everybody's letting you blow by him. And by the way, Cole, I tweeted about this last night. I don't know if you remember this play. It was towards the end of the second quarter. I got frustrated with the refereeing because they were calling silly fouls on like an inbounds play on the Lakers. And then like 2 plays later, Luka traveled and then airballed a 3-point attempt all in the same play. He traveled twice. He traveled twice and airballed a 3 in one play and not a single whistle.
Yeah,
not a one.
They don't call travels in the NBA. It just doesn't
so
happen. To the Hub City Spartanburgers text line we go. Texter says LaFlop is washed up uncontrollably. He can't even make it out of the he can't even make it out of the first round with Luka. If he returns next season, they gonna have to get out and get another superstar, so he might have a chance. See, I don't think they have to get another superstar, Texter. I really don't. I don't think they're a superstar away. I think they're depth away. I think they're a big man away. They've got to get somebody that can be productive in the front court, and they're not getting any of that productivity right now.
Get a big that can put up 14, 16 points for you a night, and you're in much, much better shape.
Texter, this is Dewey. Dewey says LeBron James needs to retire and go away. No one likes him. He has no values. Says Dewey. Texter, I believe JD says Lakers are 2-12 in their last 3 playoff series. LeBron is 1-21 in game thing or winning shots since joining the Lakers and scored 0 points in the fourth quarter back-to-back games. I believe that, again, he didn't sign his text, but I believe that does come from JD. It's interesting. Look, he's still got the marketability, right? We talk about him because he is still, at his age, Diesel, still one of the best players on the planet. Now, Luka and LeBron can't do it by themselves. They've got to have a team. And I really look what teams are winning right now. They have a team. They have depth. They have guys that are coming off the bench, right? Giving you some points off the bench. That's so important.
You don't need 2 guys that are scoring 30. You need 6 or 7 guys that are scoring 15.
And Austin Reeves was horrible in this series, man. Like, I don't understand what happened to Austin Reeves because he was just one of the best players in the league down the stretch. I mean, that night they just put it on Oklahoma City, beat them by like 30 or something. Austin Reeves disappeared in this series. And look, it happens from time to time. The best players sometimes don't show up, and ultimately that's what happened with Austin Reeves. But we'll dive back into the conversation. NBA playoffs continuing, Diesel. From the basketball court we go, though. We take the conversation from the basketball court to the gridiron. We didn't get a chance to dive into this yesterday. Ian Shefflin, a Clemson basketball player, is making a change. What is that change? That's next. Well, Ian Shefflin made some news over the earlier part of the week, Diesel, with an announcement that kind of had us turning our heads a little bit, right? I mean, you just don't see this much. What am I talking about? In case you missed it, and again, we were going to dive into this yesterday, but did not have time because yesterday's show was just so jam-packed with content, your reactions. Also to remind you, Tolos out there, that the Tolo Takeover is today. So Ian Shefflin may be suiting up for a different Clemson program very soon. Dabo Swinney has joked, Diesel, in the past about possibly getting Ian Shefflin on the gridiron. He played football in high school. The former All-ACC forward is set to put on a helmet and shoulder pads and play tight end at Clemson, with multiple sources confirming to multiple outlets, including TigerNet.com, that idea is no longer an idea, and it is now in the works. Your reaction?
Cool, I guess. I mean, look, he played football in high school. He's played 3 years of
something like that,
college basketball. I assume, outside of maybe playing Nerf football out on the intramural field with his buddies, Ian has probably not spent a lot of time playing football in the last 3 years. So are we going to have kind of a Tim Tebow situation where it's like, oh, great, he's out there
playing
doing
minor
it.
League
Everybody
ball.
Look at this thing. And then it essentially amounts to nothing.
Well, and I know T Swizzle on the stream and a couple other Tolos or Clemson fans want to hear from you. Here's the reality. Is he going to see the field? I'm not saying he won't, but Clemson has some good tight ends, right? They have good receivers.
This is like LeBron telling us, I'm done playing basketball, but I'm going to go play 2 or 3 years of NFL football because I was always told that I could be really good at football.
And that was a topic of conversation at one time. So he also, Ian Shefflin, Diesel, also changed his social media profile picture to his time playing middle school football at Grayson High School, which, by the way, if you don't know, Grayson High School, and I know we're joking about this with Ian Shefflin, Grayson High School is a powerhouse in Georgia, Diesel. So the fact that he played football at Grayson High School, it holds a lot. Like, Grayson's legit. Dorman High School just played Grayson. Spartanburg High School played him a couple of seasons ago. And Diesel, those games weren't close. Like, Grayson's really, really good. It's like 9A football. I mean, not really, but pretty much. So he's played high school football, as we mentioned. He's 6'8", 240 pounds. It's intriguing. His frame, Diesel, like, he's got the size. Will it all work? That's the question. Clemson's tight end room currently consists of young but unproven talent, says Grayson, man of TigerNet.com, good friend of the show, who we have on the show a lot. Olsen Pat Henry, Diesel, is the leader of the clubhouse with Jake Brenningstool's departure. We know how big he was for Clemson's football team at the tight end position last year, catching 9 passes for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it's not like Josh Sapp is in the mix as well. It's not like they have that number one guy right now. So maybe, just maybe, adding Ian Shefflin, who's a fan favorite already, right? Who hasn't played since his sophomore year. Maybe it's a diamond in the rough. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's nothing more than he'll be 4th or 3rd on the depth chart and we'll never see him on the field.
So how much in your mind does he need to contribute for this experiment to be considered successful, if anything at all, right? I mean, look, this feels kind of like a Dabo Swinney feel-good-ism. You know, it feels like a Roy bus. It feels like a bring your own guts. You know, he's bringing some guts from the basketball program over to the football team, right? Ian Shefflin, nobody can deny that he was a spark plug for the team. He was a glue guy for the basketball team. Do we think the football players are going to respect him in the same way that his basketball teammates did? Probably not, because to them, they know him because he was on the basketball team. But other than that, they don't know him, right? They know of him. They don't know him. I wonder how they may say, oh, this is cool. Welcome to football. And they're going to try to hit him as hard as they possibly can in practice.
Here's audio, Diesel, from earlier last fall. It was reshared on Twitter. And this was Dabo Swinney, the head football coach, talking about Ian Shefflin. And what do you might would play if this were to happen?
Be a tight end, DN for sure. He'd play whatever he want to play. He'd be unbelievable left tackle, but he wouldn't want to play that. He'd want to be one of them sexy positions. He'd want to play, sexy chef, right? He'd want to be a. Well, I'm thinking about Sexy Dexy. He's got Campbell soup commercials now and all that. Y'all seen Dex?
He's talking about Dexter
giving
Lawrence.
him some grief. But yeah, Chef. Nobody gets too excited about the left tackle. Chef would probably want to be a DN or a tight end, and I'll definitely have a spot. Man, we got a lot of rev share ready for him too. If he wants to pass up, wherever he's going, come on over here but he needs to focus on what he's doing now. I don't need a text from Brad. He needs to focus on what he's doing. We got a lot of basketball games to win this year.
So that was before the season started. Look, the reality of it is, Diesel, Clemson has a really good roster this year. I'm not saying the tight end position's their deepest. I'm not saying the tight end position is Clemson's best position. Like I said a minute ago, it's not like there's somebody out there that's just already claiming the number one tight end position. On the stream, let's see here. T-Swizzle says he could be a big security blanket for check downs, etc. If he can get the hang of it. Football is a different world. You're right. It is a different world. Let's see. He said he played with Phil Maffa at Grayson. Interesting point there, T-Swizzle, about playing with Phil Maffa. OG Tolo JB says, hey, a lot of guys switched over from basketball to football. Heck, the guy's 6'8", use him as a red zone jump ball receiver. T-Swizzle says if he plays football like he did basketball, he's going to be an Energizer bunny. And there's a lot of truth to that, but I think the biggest truth is what T-Swizzle said, Diesel. It is a complete different sport than basketball, and we'll see. It might work, it might not.
Yeah, I mean, do I think he would be the type of guy to go up and fight for a jump ball pass and probably come down with it? Yeah, but also is he going to be able to hang on to it when he gets hit? It's different. It's different. The level of hits. I'm not saying the basketball is not a physical sport, because it is. It's in some ways more physical because you have zero protection outside of a mouth guard. That's all you got. But in football, you got pads. It's just different. You're going to get hit harder in much different ways than you are when you're out there playing basketball. Is he going to be able to hang on to the ball when he's getting hit by dudes who are going to go play in the NFL one day?
Kane on the YouTube stream says nowadays everybody wants to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. What are we talking about? I have no idea.
Forgot about Dre.
Oh,
it's Forgot About Dre. It's Eminem. His part in the song Forgot About Dre.
Gotcha. Sorry, you should have known. You should have known. I should have been the one to read that. Right? To read that
Cole
message.
Bryson is Ron Burgundy. You got him.
Do it live. Screw it. Do it live. So it's interesting. We'll see, though.
I do wonder, and Dabo brought up a good point there. I do wonder what his NIL valuation is going to be. The choices were enter the transfer portal and go play basketball somewhere else for a year, come back to Clemson where you are beloved, even though it's a different sport. You're beloved. So, what is his NIL valuation for basketball versus what kind of NIL money he could get from the fans who just love him? The fans have feelings about him. Fans are like, LOL, he's playing football. I'll throw him 10 grand. They love you at Clemson. Why not stay?
Yeah, look, I think it could be one of those feel-good stories. You asked the question a minute ago. Let's end with this. What would make it a success? What would he have to do for it to be considered a success? I think just catch a couple of passes, have his name called a couple of times, right? Get in the game, maybe a touchdown.
So it's window dressing. All it is window dressing. He really doesn't actually have to do that much.
And maybe I'm underestimating Ian Shefflin and what he could be as a basketball player, Diesel. How about that? Before we run to a break, I wanted to bring this up. I talked about yesterday how I got scammed on the show, right? And 800 people made fun of me. I found something new today. And anytime I find something new, I want to tell you and the Tolos about it. And maybe I'm like the only one that didn't know you could do this. But before we run to a break, did you know that there were machines, ATM machines, where you could put old phones into and it just gives you cash?
I've heard of it. I've never seen one.
Okay, so I'm not stupid.
I'm aware that these things exist.
Okay, so
but I don't know where to find them.
A couple of weeks ago, I upgraded phones, right? I got a new phone, and we were talking about it, new charger, and I have the old phone. Well, somebody told me, hey, you need to go to the Eco ATM. I'm like, what the heck is this? Again, another scam coming, right? I have no idea what to be prepared for with this. In Walmart's, you walk in the door on the left. There's a big green machine. You put your phone in it. You plug it up. It verifies that it works. I got $252 for an old phone. Diesel, $252?
The question is, why did you still have the phone in the first place? You didn't use it, like you didn't trade it in?
No, they told me I couldn't.
It was worthless to you? Or was worthless to them?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't give me anything for it. I kept the phone.
So, like, I know there's
$252.
That's great.
So if you have old phones, go to Walmart today.
I don't have any old phone. I always trade my phone back in. I always give it back. But I trade in, like, my last phone, I kept it to the point where the guy was like, if you waited like 3 more months, this phone was going to be worthless. But at least now,
okay, I got you.
I think I got an iPhone 15 now. Before that, I probably had an 11 or 12. And the guy was like, yeah, this thing is so old that we're gonna stop taking them here in a couple of months, but you got in just in time.
Mine was a 13 Pro Plus today that I traded in. So
yeah, it's such a racket, the whole Pro Plus extra garbage.
But the fact that I was able to just walk into a Walmart, put my phone into a machine, and it gives me cash.
You could have sold it to a crackhead out back for more than that.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
JD says, LOL, did anybody know they even – I mean, somebody told me about them, so yeah, somebody knew they existed.
So you always buy your phones outright when you buy a new phone?
What do you mean by that?
Like, you keep the old phone, meaning, again, you don't trade in the old one, you just go buy a new one?
Well, I was due for an upgrade. So when I got this one, I was due for an upgrade, so they told me, I mean, like, I had that phone for 2.5 or 3 years or whatever.
Interesting.
So I was due for an upgrade, and I guess I did buy it. I don't know. I
didn't know you were a big ballin' like that. You just walk in and buy a new phone like it's no big deal.
I think it was an upgrade. Like, I don't think I paid much. I don't think I paid anything up front for it.
Speaking of big ballin', Ryan Day, who had the most expensive roster in college football history, says, yeah, but it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the money that we spent on our roster. That's not why we were successful. Ryan Day had my BS meter going off the charts when I heard this audio. We're going to play it for you and talk about it next on the Fan Upstate. Oh, Ryan Day. You finally got over the hump. You got it done. You won your national championship. Buckeye fans are going to get off your back for at least a minute about winning another title. And he's already trying to pull revisionist history on why they won the title, on what the secret sauce was that got them a national championship in 2024. And Ryan Day says it wasn't the money. It wasn't the money, despite the fact that they had the most expensive roster in college football history at a total NIL valuation of $20 million. That wasn't it. It was our brotherhood. It was our togetherness. He's already trying to change the narrative on what got them their title. Here's Ryan Day on with Josh Pate.
It's just easy for people just to kind of say that, and just because it's easy and it's cheap. But when you really do your research and you look through it, like, all of these guys have been here multiple years.
Yeah, do your research.
You look at JT and Jack and Ty and Tyleek and Cody Simon and Lathan Ransom and Denzel Burke and Emeka Buka. You start going through, sure, Quinshawn and Will were big additions for us, but Travion has been here since his freshman year. When Coach Saban retired and we had an opportunity to pick up Caleb and then Julian and Seth McLaughlin, like that kind of happened opportunistically. I think it's.
Yeah, it was just opportunistic.
Look,
it just fell into our laps, all this talent. It's crazy.
His coaches speak, right? That's what it is, essentially. I know that's what Diesel's supposed to say. That's what he is, they would not like it if he got up there and said as a head coach, hey guys, look, Josh, or you said it was an interview with Josh Pate, right?
Yep.
Josh, look, our guys really, they were good, but the only reason we won this championship is because we bought them. I mean, what would we do? Like, I know we all know that's the truth.
He even said it with a smirk on his face.
Now,
like, hey, what
I will
about
say
the money?
this. I will say this, Diesel. To his point, at the end of the day, you still have to get everybody to buy in and be on the same page. Like that's there's truth there. But yes, to your point, it's a little bit of a load of BS.
Here's the facts. The money is what got them there.
100%.
The coaching is what won them a title.
Yeah, it's good
Both
coaching.
of those things are true at the same time, but don't act, Ryan Day, like they all came here because they just felt this extra strong bond of brotherhood at Ohio State, because that's complete and total BS.
10, 15 years ago, we could have said that, right?
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, man, go look at Florida's teams that won the national championship. Now, let's just use Florida as an example because newsflash, there were some personalities on those teams, right? So, like, if Urban Meyer would have came out and said the exact same thing that Ryan Day just said, you and I would say, yeah, he's right. Because, look, they might have been getting paid under the table. We don't know. We'll never know, I guess. But ultimately, what do we talk about all the time? The perception of it was that it was a pure sport of college football. And 10, 15 years ago, a coach could have said that. Nowadays, can't do that.
Well, he should have said.
Dabo could say it.
Ryan Day should have said, all that money is the reason you got all these great players here, and we need you to open up your coffers and your checkbooks even wider, because in 2025, the Texas Longhorns are projected to have the most expensive NIL roster in college football history, with a budget of $35 to $40 million. Talk about nuclear proliferation.
It's a lot of money.
It went from whatever it was before Ohio State. And at the time, I'm sure that number seemed ludicrous. And then Ohio State comes out with a $20 million budget. People are saying, oh my God, that's ludicrous. And then within a year, Texas is doubling it.
It's a lot of money. There's
doubling it.
Now, let me ask you this question. What if Clemson, let's just say Clemson wins the national championship this year. If Dabo says that, okay, there's truth there. Dabo has kind of built his program the old-fashioned way, right? He did go out and get Tristan Smith in the portal, but for the most part, it's a homegrown team. When Ryan Day says it with the most expensive roster, to your original point, it's kind of like, okay, we get it. Come on.
I found this clip on Instagram, and the number one comment is Mark Wahlberg just going, winking into the camera like, come on, Ryan. What are you talking about?
And if you got Ryan Day off
talking about?
camera, he would probably admit it, right? Like he seems like a cool, funny guy.
We all knew that Ryan Day was a quality head coach. We all knew that. And all those Ohio State fans who would call into our show and talk on the national like social media saying that Ryan Day should be fired because he can't win the big one. I mean, all those people existed.
Dewey.
And it wasn't that he couldn't win a national championship. It's that he hadn't yet. He hadn't had the money, the financial backing to go out and get the roster that you had to have to go get it done.
Hey, speaking of getting fired, speaking of what Dewey always does, calling for people's heads, Diesel, Rob Parker of Fox Sports has a piece of audio out there that I don't know if I necessarily disagree with in terms of this high-profile coach, before he even coaches his first game, deserves to be fired. That's next.
Y'all need to be fired.
I play the clip from our one and only Dewey.
Y'all need to be fired.
Because that's where we're going in this very segment. We're not firing Dewey. We're not I don't know if he can be fired from nothing, but we're not firing anybody, Diesel. But somebody in a radio is. That somebody is Rob Parker, who works for Fox Sports, does a really good job in my mind. He's been around for a long time. You've heard his voice.
I thought you said he was getting fired.
Well, no, he's calling for somebody to be fired.
I apologize.
He's calling. No, I thought you were breaking news to me. I was like, did he get fired? Everybody somebody eventually gets fired from Fox once a year, right? Rob Parker, Fox Sports, who, like I said, I think does a really good job, gave his thoughts on this Bill Belichick situation with his girlfriend. This audio might be some of the most fascinating audio you've ever heard regarding Bill Belichick. I also have a clip from Charles Barkley regarding this. The question is, Diesel, are we making too much of Bill Belichick's saga with his girlfriend, or are we not making enough about it? Is this detrimental to trying to build a culture? I'm going to play the audio. We'll react. Tolos, I want to hear your reactions as well at 844-326-3663. Here's what Rob Parker of Fox had to say.
If you're the president and the PAD athletic director at UNC and you're watching what's unfolding in front of you, I would fire Bill Belichick and say, this is not a good fit. This is looking awful for a university that a grown-ass man who's in his 70s is having a relationship with a college-age girl. I'll say that at 24 years old. She's running him around like a puppy dog on a leash. And Bill Belichick has hired her, right? Doesn't she have a job with the university? Like, what is going on here? North Carolina, this is really what you want to display. Your football coach is parading around a woman like 50 years younger than him. The students, the football team. That's the example you want to set? No.
So Rob Parker goes on for about another minute and a half, and we'll get to that later. But Diesel, Rob Parker, very clearly, North Carolina should fire Bill Belichick. Boy, is that a bold statement for a guy who hasn't even coached a game? Should they fire him? Diesel, Tolo, should they fire Bill Belichick right now today?
Well, what's that song? North Carolina, come on and raise up. Bill's trying. I mean, look at his girlfriend. But the guy in the clip, he was wrong. Jordan Hudson's not employed by the University of North Carolina. She may have some sort of a role that Bill Belichick has decided to install her into, but as far as we know, she is not employed by the university. She's not receiving a paycheck. Now, if I'm Bubba Cunningham, I might be saying, hey, Bill, how about employees only, staff only at these things? You gotta quit bringing your girlfriend to work. I mean, it's weird, right?
Thank you for doing that.
Sorry.
Imagine if Cole was bringing his girlfriend to work every day. That's weird. You don't do that. I mean, like normal people don't do that. They don't bring their girlfriend to work with them every single day. Why does Bill feel the need to do this? Is she saying, I'm going to break up with you if you don't let me be there with you every single day? I mean, it's some sort of Stockholm syndrome, I guess, like a reverse Stockholm syndrome. Is the person who wants to control the person says, I need to be around you all the time. So I need to always be in the building and in your meetings and in your press conferences. I need to be on your emails. It's strange.
So look, here's the deal with what Rob Parker had to say. Rob Parker, again, with Fox Sports Radio, Diesel. I don't know if Rob Parker really believes what he said. Sometimes people say things to do what we just did, create clicks, right? Create content. Maybe he really doesn't believe that, but it was a good bit. Maybe he really does believe that. I'll say this. If we're on a seesaw, right, at recess after lunch, you and I, Diesel, and we're balancing Bill Belichick being fired versus this is outlandish. I'm not saying I'm on the side of Bill Belichick being fired. because he hasn't done anything wrong. However, this is a horrible look. This is horrible for North Carolina, who portrays themselves as a school that has all of these beautiful standards, right? It's absolutely just a sickening, horrible, bad look for Bill Belichick and North Carolina. Who is this loser girlfriend, Bill, that you've got around who is basically telling you what to do and when to do it and, jump how high, Jordan? Like, this is terrible. Bill Belichick, Diesel, has always been known as one of the greatest football, if not the greatest football coach ever in the NFL. And 6 months later, the conversation around Bill Belichick is not how good he's doing at North Carolina. It's, who's this college girl that's got him on a leash, to Rob Parker's point, dragging him around everywhere? It's a bad look.
What I don't understand about this is if Bill is drunk on that, what, and that shouldn't be the case, because I decided to look up his ex-wife. Bill Belichick's ex-wife is gorgeous.
Is she?
She's absolutely gorgeous. So, like, it's not as if this is going to sound cruel. It's going to sound mean. It's not as if Bill's ex-wife was an uggo and this is the first super hot girl he's ever pulled, because his ex-wife, whose name is Debbie.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That sounds like Bill's ex-wife. Debbie.
Beautiful. Beautiful woman. I mean, gorgeous woman. So
older woman?
Age appropriate. I mean, it looks here from old photos that I'm looking at. He might have been 10 years older than her, 5 years. I don't know, but I mean, relatively close.
You know what, man?
That would it's kind of again, I don't think it's like this is the hottest woman I've ever got, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep her happy.
Yeah.
Because that's a little bit what it seems like, right? It seems like, oh my God, I'll never be able to get another girl like her. I better do anything that I can do to keep her happy.
Maybe so. I'll say this, and we'll get to the text and the messages on the stream in just a second. Phone lines also open as well at 844-FAN-PHONE, FANFONE. Diesel, you know how we hear a lot in our job, if you and I, not if you and I do have a job here at the for now at the Fan Upstate. If we are the president of the United States, if we are a head chef somewhere, right? If we're a preacher somewhere, if we're making chicken salad next door, I have heard people say, and that we should all live by in our lives and in our jobs, the motto, the phrase, the saying of keeping the main thing, right? I've heard that a lot. You and I, on this show, we try to keep the main thing. In life, that's something to live by as well. I just feel like Bill Belichick's falling short of that. I feel like Bill Belichick is falling short of keeping the main thing. Like, the main thing for Bill Belichick has always been what? Football. You mentioned it in hour number one. The main thing for LeBron James has always been basketball. That is who he is. LeBron James has kept the main thing. Bill Belichick has not kept the main thing, and it's just a horrible look on him, and I'm just shocked that North Carolina is saying, you know what, we're okay with it.
As somebody who has a standing grudge with the University of Noncompliance, who committed 30 years of systematic academic fraud, yet weaseled out of it on a technicality. We let 3 or 4 non-football players in this coloring book class, so now we can say it wasn't to keep football players eligible because anybody could join this class and get an easy A. I love the fact that this is going to blow up in North Carolina's face. I am laughing as hard as I can. I'm already drafting text messages to my cousin who graduated from North Carolina.
No.
Ha, 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 ha. Of course. You guys did this. We had a promo that was running for a while where I said, this is all a publicity stunt by University of North Carolina. This is what they do. They try to make a splash to get people's attention, but it has ultimately no substance at its core. I love the fact that this is egg on the face of the University of North Carolina. I'm just wondering, Cole, when are Steve Zahn and Jack Black going to come out and save Silverman Part 2?
I want to know, Diesel, if anybody out there, the Tolos, maybe Kane is already alluding to it. I want to know if anybody pushes back that this isn't a bad look. I want to know if anybody's okay with the picture that's being portrayed. Diesel, I'll tell you one person that's not okay with it. That's Charles Barkley. How about this audio from Chuck?
He's been a great friend for me for a long time. We've been friends since he coached for the Browns. I think he got to be very careful right now. This is starting to be on a very slippery slope. He's the greatest football coach ever for him and Nick Saban, for college Nick Saban, for Bill to NFL. Yeah, I from what I'm hearing, it's starting to be a very slippery slope. And I never talk about people's personal relationship. That's another rule I got. But I will admit I'm a little concerned with some of the stuff that's going on. And I might actually reach out to him and make sure everything's good. But I am concerned from what I'm hearing because, it's not a good look right now. I'll admit that.
So Charles Barkley, I like what he said there. And how bold was that? I may even reach out to him. He used the term slippery slope. I can't say he's wrong. I don't know that it's Chuck's place to reach out to him. But don't you have to have accountability? Don't you have to have somebody say, look, Diesel, this just isn't a great look, man. Cole, quit bringing your girlfriend. Quit bringing this person to work. Like, come on, man. This might not be the best look.
Texter says, if I had a drink for every time Diesel has mentioned his disdain for North Carolina, I'd be 6 feet under. I said, bingo. He said, keep doing it. Well, guess what, Officer Leahy? I'm getting you drunk tonight.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like your disdain for North Carolina.
Look,
I don't have any issue.
I don't like the personality of the university. Right. I have longstanding reasons for why I don't like North Carolina, because North Carolina has always kept a thumb on every other school inside of their system, not allowing other schools to expand and grow with graduate opportunities on their own campuses. There's a very public situation a few years ago where UNC Charlotte, it's in the UNC system, wanted to start wanted to start some sort of a med school or a dentistry school on campus. And the mothership, Chapel Hill, said, nope, we're going to start a dentistry school in Charlotte, and it's going to be powder blue. You don't get to have that on your campus. We want to have that in your city.
Yeah, that's kind of I would love to know what the thoughts are, though, of the AD, the president, the people who are the bosses of Bill Belichick. Yeah. Rob Parker went on a little bit more expounding on this.
None of this makes any sense. And there was a report from TMZ today that said UNC personnel, this is from TMZ,
so it's reliable,
is worried that Jordan Hudson's influence on Bill Belichick, quote, could become a problem. Not could become a problem. It is a problem. This is so public, so embarrassing, so ridiculous. On a college campus, this is what you want? You want the parents that Bill Belichick is recruiting these kids so that the parents can say, what's the deal? Let me hide my teenage 20-year-old daughter. Stay in the back room.
He does bring up an interesting point about recruiting. I don't know if it will hurt those that he's directly recruiting, Diesel, but what'd you tell me yesterday? What'd you bring up on the show yesterday, or maybe it was even Monday or Tuesday, about other coaches using that against him? I'm not saying they will, but it's
Are you telling me that Dave Dorn isn't sitting in a recruit's living room
showing them pictures,
saying look at this old fart over here getting run around by his 25-year-old girlfriend? He doesn't have any control over that program, and he's not going to be there in 5 years anyway, because she's going to tell him that he has to quit.
Yeah.
You telling me Dave Dorn's not using that? You telling me that Dave Clawson isn't using that? You telling me that the coaches up at Virginia, the coaches at East Carolina aren't using that?
No,
of course they are.
I think it's certainly a possibility. On the text line, let's go back to the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. JD signed his text. How about that? Brownie points. He says North Carolina does not have standards. Did you already read this? I'm sorry if you did. They got caught for their football players not even going to school a long time ago, before the kids didn't go to play school, says JD. Let's see. Eric Hines says, I'm late to the party. What happened? Eric, welcome into the show, man. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you. This is Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate. Eric, Bill Belichick, we're asking the question, Eric, if this is egg on the face, if it's just too much in terms of what's happening. Rob Parker of Fox Sports said, look, he needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. I don't know that he needs to be fired. I think he needs a talking to.
Yeah.
Unless we hadn't hit this angle yet. What if this may not be true, but what if Bill Belichick's the end-all be-all at North Carolina when it comes to athletic? Like, we talk a lot about Dabo being such a high profile at Clemson that whatever Dabo wants, Dabo gets. Well, think about what Bill Belichick could demand. I mean, he's Bill Belichick. Maybe the buck stops with him.
Yeah, but there's a really strong chance, Cole, that this turns into a Yoko Ono situation where she's calling the shots. She's telling Bill what to do. He has all these coaches in his ear saying, hey, coach, I think we need to switch to the 3-4 defense. And she's like, no, Bill, we're going to do what I tell you to do.
Could be.
It's possible.
All right, let's go to the stream. Madcraft V. Tolo says, what if she tried to pull a Tepper's wife move and becomes the first person ever to tell Bill how to run his team? That'd be great. Like, wouldn't it really be great? Madcraft Diesel says, answer this. If Jordan was in her 40s and acted the same way, would we react the same? No, because she'd be in her 40s. She's, what, 20, 23, 24?
Would we react the same? I would hope so. I would hope so. We didn't last year. Didn't we go off on Dave Tepper for allowing his wife or sending his wife down to scout defenses? We were saying, who is this bozo and what dumbass decisions is he making?
Well, we'd still talk
where
about
is his head at?
Yeah.
By the way, Dave Tepper's wife is also a much younger trophy wife. They've been married a couple of years, but it doesn't change the fact that she's considerably younger than he is and considerably hotter than his first wife. But I mean, we went after Dave Tepper pretty hard for that.
Yeah, I just think her age, with her being as young as she is, it's interesting. Kane says, what is Bill not doing, though? He's in a very nice relationship with a lovely young woman, and he's recruiting, grinding tape, preparing for the season, is doing okay. And again, that's the question I asked at the very beginning of the segment. Are we making too much of it, right? That's what we want to know. Are we making too much of it? I mean, maybe we are, maybe we're not.
The real answer is we'll see.
He says,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
What did North Carolina do this past year? What was their final record?
6 games, 6 wins, something like that. Diesel, just off the top of my head. I could be wrong there, but without looking, I'm going to say 6 wins.
North Carolina was overall 6-7.
Okay.
So, I mean, what if Bill Belichick brings them back to a 9-win team in 2025?
Yeah, you're right. Nobody will care.
What if? And then we'd say, okay, well, we were all wrong. Not that, she deserves to have a spot there because she's never been a football coach, but maybe we could say, well, it ultimately didn't have an effect because Bill Belichick is still Bill Belichick.
It's interesting. It really is. I just think the surprise for so many people is Diesel, like going back to my point about keeping the main thing.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick was the definition of that. Like, he was the guy. Remember in New England? No distractions.
Think about the fact that Bill never gave us more than about 4 words per interview. Now he's doing CBS national television interviews.
No.
And in the middle of the interview, his girlfriend stops the questioning and says, nope, we're not talking about that. We're talking about something else.
True.
I mean, it smells,
It's
right?
a new Bill.
It's a little stinky. When we come back, we had a great conversation earlier because it was his only availability with Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Should LeBron retire? What's going on with the Bucks? Can they not get Giannis any help? We had that conversation earlier, and you will hear it next on the Fan Upstate.
Leave your namby-pamby sports takes at the door. Call in if you're man enough.
Hot and heavy in the NBA playoffs are we right now? One team eliminated last night. That one team we'll talk about. We've already talked about it earlier on the show today with the LA Lakers. And we're joined right now to continue the conversation. Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints.com. You've heard him on the show before. Brett, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. We're getting ready to finish up the first round here. We got a few game sixes left, and it should be a great end to some of those series.
It really should. And let's start with the game last night that's probably most talked about today, Brett, with the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards eliminating the LA Lakers. Your thoughts on, and again, we'll probably ask you multiple questions on the Lakers because it is a very intriguing story. But first of all, your thoughts on where LeBron James is in his career and if you foresee him returning or if what you think last night could have been the last night we ever watched LeBron James play basketball.
Well, there's a lot to unfold with this series, and quite honestly, it ended in 5 games. It probably should have been done at 4. The Timberwolves in every single game of the series were the better team. The only game that the Lakers won, the Timberwolves just didn't shoot well, but they still played better defense than the Lakers. All their metrics were better. They just came up short in that one. So the Lakers were completely outmatched, and it's kind of shocking because we talked about this team of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and then Austin Reeves was stepping up and having an all-star-like campaign during the second half of the season. It looked like the Lakers were going to be one of the untouchable teams in the Western Conference entering the playoffs. That was not the case at all, as they ran into a Minnesota Timberwolves team that many tend to forget just reached the Western Conference Finals last season. They obviously traded Karl-Anthony Towns, but they brought in Julius Randle. They brought in Dante DiVincenzo, 2 guys that played terrific for them in this series. And now looking ahead, they're either going to get the Rockets or the Warriors, and they're going to be favored in either one of those matchups. So the chances of the Timberwolves getting to the Western Conference Finals are looking good once again with Anthony Edwards leading the way. But the conversations about the Lakers and LeBron James and what's going to happen with his future, obviously LeBron James finishing up year 22 in the league, 40 years old now, and it seems like all the time we ask this question to LeBron after his final game of the postseason of, when are you going to call it quits? When are you going to retire? It's the same answer always, where he's going to sit down, discuss it with his family and his representation, think about what the future holds for him. He's not retiring. And I can say that with confidence. LeBron James will be back for year 23. He will be back in a Lakers uniform. And one of the main reasons for that is the farewell tour. He wants that pomp and circumstance. And LeBron James isn't the type of player that's going to go out quiet. It's going to be this big spectacle. He's the league's all-time leading scorer. He's one of the most marketable athletes in sports history. And there's some significance with coming back for next year. It'll be his 23rd season in the league, the most anybody has ever played in NBA history. Obviously, 23 is significant to him. He wears it after Michael Jordan. And being able to play in the league for 23 years and finish his career with the Lakers is something that he's always mentioned throughout his time, even since joining the Lakers. And you can go back to the COVID years where he always talked about wanting to play 23 years in the league and retire a Laker. And then there's some more factors that go into it. Bryce James will be draft eligible next year. You'll have the All-Star game in Los Angeles. The 2026 All-Star game will be at at the Intuit Dome, hosted by the Clippers. So there's just a lot that is going to go into this, and a lot that stands out of why LeBron's going to return next season. But the bigger question is, what is it going to look like with Luka Doncic's future? You have an extension coming up. What kind of pieces are they going to put around him? Because LeBron's only going to be around for another year or two.
Talking to Brett Siegel at Brett Siegel NBA is where you can find his work. He's an NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints.com. You know, one of the things that I've found really fascinating about the first round of these playoffs is we're seeing the teams with 2 or 3 major superstars being eliminated by teams with 5 or 6 key contributors. I'm talking about the teams where everybody is scoring in double digits out of the starting lineup. You have somebody who can come off the bench and put up 17, 20, 25 points a game. It feels like a pendulum swing back to the older days of the role players, everybody getting involved, everybody contributing. Are you finding that to be true, or am I off base?
No, and we've been seeing this for years. You can go back to even the Warriors championship in 2022. You obviously had Stephen Curry, you had Klay Thompson, but the story was Andrew Wiggins stepping up and getting rebounds. It was Jordan Poole scoring in that second unit. It was a guy like Otto Porter stepping up when his number was called. And you can even go back to the Nuggets championship too in 2023, where you had the blue guy that really held things down. Aaron Gordon emerged as a key two-way player for them as a forward. And obviously you had the two stars of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, but it was those secondary guys that really pulled those championship teams together. So no, I'm not surprised to see some of these teams moving on to have more depth, because you look at a series, particularly like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers can go 8, 9, 10 guys deep, whereas the Bucks, it was just Giannis, and that was it. Kyle Kuzma was non-existent in that series. Damian Lillard rushed his way back from the blood clot in his calf, and then he unfortunately tore his Achilles. So once he goes down, it's free season for the Pacers. They're going to leave guys open and force them to make shots. Granted, A.J. Green and Gary Trent Jr. did in that Game 5, and they forced overtime, and they were hitting from all cylinders from three-point range. But you forced them to do that over the course of a 7-game series. Trent and A.J. Green aren't going to constantly make those shots, and that immediately gives a team like the Pacers an advantage. Obviously, you can go down the list and looking at more and more teams of having those 2-3 stars. It was the same thing with the Lakers. The Minnesota Timberwolves did a good job of containing LeBron and Luka, forcing them to play heavy minutes. And then the question was, who's going to be that third guy to step up for the Lakers? The Timberwolves really focused in on Austin Reeves. They never let him get going. So they put pressure on Rui Hachimura. They put pressure on Gabe Vincent when he was in the game. They put pressure on Jared Vanderbilt. None of those guys were able to knock down shots and provide the Lakers with scoring. That's what really pushed Minnesota's defense ahead. That's what allowed them to get out in transition and also get a bunch of fast break points that ended up being the difference in that series. So when we look ahead and we look towards the Western Conference and Eastern Conference semifinals, that's really when we're going to start seeing these stars show out and carry their teams. We're going to see it with Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, I believe, is going to have a huge series no matter who he plays, whether it's the Warriors or Rockets. And then when you look ahead with the Pacers as the 4 seed in the East, they're going to be going up against Cleveland Cavaliers. It's going to be a big series for Donovan Mitchell, that's for sure.
Hey, Brett, when you look at what happened over the course of this first-round playoff game with the Lakers, you know, it's kind of head-scratching in a way. You mentioned their success down the stretch. That did not translate into the playoffs. We know that they need a center. They didn't get any offensive production from theirs. We know they need depth, the point you just spoke on. In your mind, when you talk about LeBron sticking around and now the addition of Luka, if this team wants to get back to championship caliber, Austin Reeves didn't play well in the first round either. What does Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss need to do in your mind this offseason?
It's going to take a few things. The first is you have to upgrade the front court. And that was relevant last night with Rudy Gobert having arguably the best game of his career against the Lakers. And I don't want to say it was expected because Rudy Gobert had struggled in this series, but the fact of the matter is he was 6 or 7, 8 inches taller than some of those guys out there. You had LeBron James playing center at times against Rudy Gobert, and 9 times out of 10, Gobert is going to win that matchup just because of his height. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to dunk it. So when you look at the Lakers, they need size. And that was relevant after they traded Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. They tried to get Mark Williams, and then they rescinded that trade. So where are they going to go from here? What center is going to become available? I think that's going to be the number one thing on the Lakers' wish list that Rob Pelinka is really going to hammer in. He's going to look to upgrade their front court, find a cost-effective center that they can either utilize for many years to come or somebody that can just fill in the gaps for a year or two before they go out and pursue somebody else. But center is number one on their list. And then Pelinka spoke to the media today following their loss. The second thing he mentioned was getting defensive-minded and athletic wings. And they thought they had that with Rui Hachimura and Dorian Finney-Smith. Finney-Smith was one of their midseason additions from the Brooklyn Nets. They gave up some second-round picks to get him. But ultimately, he did not turn out to be as efficient and as effective of a player in the postseason as they had hoped. The goal is to get more of those type of wings, and similar to what the Knicks have done with OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, you may not be able to get that kind of caliber of players, but Pelinka is going to be looking around the league for these cost-effective players, guys that are making a little bit below the $14 million mid-level exception that you can bring in. You can sacrifice as little assets as possible. You can retain your first-round picks moving forward and potentially upgrade there. So the three main things, if I could just list them off, and it's going to sound cliche because this is what we always say about LeBron James-led teams, but number one is height, number two is defensive-minded wings, and number three is shooting. Those are the three things that are going to be on the Lakers list this offseason.
Brett, let's touch on another team that was just eliminated the night before last, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're done. Giannis, a superstar, is sitting at home watching people play on television. You know, for a franchise that's won a championship recently to keep bumping their head on the first and second round of the playoffs is kind of a head scratcher. You know, Giannis is amazing, but they're not really packing a whole lot of talent around him. What does your head and your heart say about the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee, and why would they renew John Horst if the best he could do is first round of the playoffs?
So we're going to touch on this in a couple different parts. We're going to start with John Horst, and it was a little bit of a question around the league of why would they extend him at the time they did in the middle of the playoffs with the team trailing, the team struggling. And the answer is because the Bucks ownership trusts John Horst, and he's been there throughout Giannis's entire career. And it signals that they have enough respect for Giannis that they're not going to clear house and they're going to bring in new people to take things in a new direction. They're going to keep what worked. They're going to keep their championship philosophy with Horst and his vision for the team. And they're going to have these tough conversations in the offseason. They're going to be able to sit down with Giannis face to face with the respect that they have, because Giannis has a lot of respect for John Horst. He's the only general manager that Giannis has been with the Bucks, and he trusts him. And they have a mutual relationship where when there's a big move to be made, Horst talks it through with Giannis. And granted, Giannis doesn't always have the final say in those moves, like the Chris Middleton move. Giannis was really fond of Middleton, considered him a brother. And if it was his say, he would have kept Middleton on this roster. But ultimately, ownership, Horst, and many in that front office felt now was the time to move Middleton, get below the aprons, and get a player like Kyle Kuzma, who they thought could contribute. Obviously, there was a different case there. But the fact of the matter is, Horst and Giannis have a strong bond. They're going to be able to have these conversations and really talk things through. And if they do decide to go in a different direction and Giannis asks out and wants a new team, they will be able to work with him in a manageable way where the team can still benefit, Giannis can still benefit, and it's a win-win for everybody. They can end on good terms instead of this being a messy divorce. Now, the second part is what's going to happen with Giannis. And right now, I don't have an answer to that right now. And nobody around the league seems to have an answer. Either anybody who claims that they have an in and is claiming Giannis is going here, Giannis is going here. It's not the case at all. They haven't even had those conversations yet in Milwaukee. They're going to spend a few weeks off before they readdress it. I just saw a video that Giannis is actually in New York now, just hanging out with his family. So he's on vacation already. He's not even watching the games from his couch. He's clearing his mind. He's going to get in good headspace before these tough conversations are had. And obviously, that's the big domino that everybody's going to wait to see fall around the time of the NBA draft in June and before free agency. Will Giannis Antetokounmpo be on the move? Because if he hits the trade market, every team in the league is going to be interested. Only a few realistically have the cap space, the money, and the assets to make a trade work for Giannis. So it's going to be a very interesting situation for sure. It's going to change the landscape of the Eastern Conference. And obviously the Bucks with a very bleak future right now. They don't have much cash space. They have virtually no draft picks. Damian Lillard won't be back next season. It's just a very, very messy situation to believe that they're going to be able to turn this around quickly for Giannis.
Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Brett, when you look at the series happening tonight in the Western Conference Final, Denver leads the Clippers 3-2. I said a couple of days ago on air that this was the most competitive, the best series of the playoffs thus far in the first round. Your thoughts on not only the series between the Nuggets and Clippers, but if whoever does win this has a chance to go on and maybe appear in the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly a series where we could see either one of those teams reaching the Western Conference Finals. But let's not write off the Oklahoma City Thunder either, because they just swept the Memphis Grizzlies. They're a 68-win team, and they're just kind of chilling around. And because they've done what they had to do, they've won all season long. They've won against these two teams. They've won against everybody in the Western Conference. They're the title favorites coming out of the West right now, so we shouldn't write them off. But this has been a competitive series between the Clippers and the Nuggets. You have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in Denver. You have Kawhi Leonard, James Harden in LA. And it seems like momentum just keeps shifting back and forth. And the Clippers, it seemed like at one point they had a firm grip on the series. It looked like that they were going to win. and take a 3-1 lead at one point, but then Aaron Gordon's dunk to tie things up at 2-2, and then the Nuggets go on to win Game 5 in big fashion in that second half. So now the pressure's back on the Clippers. Can they win tonight in LA, in their Intuit Dome, to force a Game 7 in Denver? I think that they're going to do it. I think that we're going to see a big game from Kawhi Leonard. I think that we're going to see a really, really strong defensive effort on Jamal Murray. They're going to limit his shot attempts. They're going to really defend the three-point line. And then we're going to head to that decisive Game 7. The best two words in sports, Game 7. What could happen? It's really hard to predict. At any time, anybody can hit a big shot. And with how close this series has been, I wouldn't be shocked if it comes down to the final few possessions in Game 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a Game 7 and we see this game decided in the final few possessions there.
Brett Siegel, ClutchPoints.com, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. You know, I heard the play-by-play crew release a wild stat in the Knicks-Pistons game a few nights ago that the Knicks had lost, at the time, 4 in a row closeout opportunities at home at Madison Square Garden. I mean, how do you explain that? I mean, it's such a difficult stat to try to wrap your mind around. They have everything going their way. They have the opportunity to close out series and just can't get it done. And maybe it's an unexplainable stat, but what do you think?
I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the team and the roster and the personnel, but it just goes back to the NBA playoffs where the hardest game to win is a closeout game. And you can win the first 3 games by 30 points in a series, but when you're up 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, it doesn't matter. Winning that final game is always the hardest because the team on the other side of the court is essentially playing with house money at that point. They have nothing to lose. If they lose, they're out. If they win, they get to extend the series. They have a lot to lose, but it's almost like they're playing with a sense of freedom where there's not that worry anymore and there's not that pressure of having to win on your home court or having to steal a game on the road. You're just going one game at a time. And in the Pistons case, when they're down 3-1, they're the little team that could. And they're going up against Goliath with the Knicks, of the team that was supposed to contend against the Celtics. They were built to contend against Boston this offseason. And Detroit has held their own in this series. They had a chance to win multiple games. And there was that unfortunate call where Tim Hardaway Jr. was fouled with a 3, and they potentially would have gone on to win that one going back to Madison Square Garden, but the refs blew the call and didn't call it. So it's now 3-2 heading back to Detroit. They're playing with house money. The Knicks are the team with everything to lose. The Pistons are that team that's just looking to pull off the upset. And they're going to be very loose out there. They're going to be calm, and they're going to be playing with a lot of confidence. All the pressure is on the Knicks in this series. And again, it's not just Madison Square Garden. It's a closeout game. And this is Game 6 between them. 3-2 Knicks. They're going to have to really earn this win to close out the Pistons.
Brett, my last question for you, man. A very simple one, maybe not. When it comes to the Eastern Conference, the best team in your mind that has the best shot to knock off what looked like the unbeatable Celtics is who?
It's the Cavaliers. And obviously it's the easy answer since they're the 1 seed, over 60-win team this season. But they have the depth, they have the length, and they have the shooting to be able to compete with the Celtics. And quite honestly, I wouldn't think that the Celtics are the favorites right now just because of some of their injury concerns. You have Jason Tatum with that injured wrist. You have Jaylen Brown, who's been spotty at times with that injured knee. And then on the other side of things, the Cavaliers are completely healthy. They're playing some of the best basketball that they have all season. They're coming off a series sweep of the Miami Heat where they just absolutely decimated them and they were laughing in the middle of games. This is a team with a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum heading into their next series. And I don't think that they're going to be that tested by the Indiana Pacers. I think that that's going to be a fairly quick series for the Cavaliers. And they're going to be waiting for the winner of the Celtics versus either the Knicks or the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. I would not be shocked if the Cavs are in the NBA Finals this season.
Does Adam Silver need to keep John Halliburton off the court? Do they need to keep him away from the sidelines?
It's a weird subject. And I think that for any parents that are courtside or any fans courtside, there's a certain level of respect that you have to show the other team. And if you don't, you're going to be subject to consequences, whether that's getting banned from games, getting banned from certain arenas. And I think that in the case of John Halliburton and Tyrese Halliburton's father, we're going to see some consequences here where he's not going to be allowed court access moving forward, or he's not going to be in his usual courtside seats. I think that we're going to see the NBA kind of step up here and tell the Pacers what they need to do. And obviously a situation where any fan, whether it's a player's father or mother or whoever, running onto the court and going right into an opposing player's face, especially a player of Giannis Antetokounmpo's caliber and stature, it's not a good look for the league at all. It's not a good look for the Pacers.
Brett, fantastic stuff as always, man. We appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of these playoffs, buddy.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one. Have a great weekend coming up.
This NBA stat may really make you feel old, Diesel. I mean, it might. It might make you feel old. If it does, I apologize in advance.
Too late.
Just
even saying, hey, this might make you feel old.
It already does.
Feel old.
Yeah,
Stop.
I get that. I do. Real quick, though, I want to remind Tolos we are coming up on a very important segment. It's your segment. 10 minutes from right now, Diesel. Tolo Takeover. It's Thursday. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And the Tolos have an opportunity to take over the airwaves with whatever you want to talk about. It can be a topic that we've discussed already today. It can be something that you're mad about. So go ahead and get that stirring in your mind.
Let me
phone
guess.
Number.
Rick won't have anything to say today.
No, Rick. No.
He only wants to call in and take us off topic on days when he's not allowed to.
When he's given the opportunity, he doesn't do it. He does it when we're talking about sports, right? We go non-sports, he doesn't call. The phone number is 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. All right, Diesel, here you go. The old man of the day stat, NFL edition. Tyler Shuck, the ex-Louisville quarterback. Heard of him, right? Pretty good good quarterback.
It's spelled Shuck, but it doesn't look like Shuck.
It's spelled Shuff, S-H-O-U-G-H, pronounced shuck like you're shucking an oyster. It's weird. Tyler Shuck will officially be the last person drafted to the NFL born in the 1900s. Again, Tyler Shuck, officially the last person in the NFL to be born in the 1900s. He was born in 1999. He's 25 years old. J.J. McCarthy, drafted last year. He's 22. He was born in 2003. Drake May, born in 2002. Cam Ward, born in 2002. Bryce Young, born in 2001. Jaden Daniels, born in 2000. C.J. Stroud in 2001. Michael Penix Jr., born in 2000. Bo Nix, 2000. Brock Purdy was the last one before Shuck, 99. Trevor Lawrence, 99 as well. And it is official. Tyler Shuck will officially be the last person drafted to the NFL born in the 1900s. Think about that.
Not unless we get another Chris Winkie.
Oh, Chris.
Remember Chris Winkie,
yeah.
who played at Florida State? He was already like 40 when he started playing college football. Come on, Chris Winkie 2.0. Can we get another one of those? Because I don't like the stat at all.
Texter says Bill Belichick's girlfriend was also born in 2000. It's funny, but it's probably true. What? She's 25. If she's 25 or 26, right? That could be the case. Texter says I said the exact same thing except shucking corn. Maybe that was the better shucking.
Well,
reference.
Shucking is shucking, no matter which way you paint it.
Do you shuck an oyster? Is that right?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I just want to make sure I said that right. You shuck corn.
Yeah.
What else do you shuck?
Well, you know what?
That sounds
Google.
bad.
What?
Oh God! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it!
What do you shuck?
You shuck an oyster. You shuck corn. You shuck Tyler Shuck. That's it. I think that's it. Nothing else. Tyler Shuck. Corn shuck.
Shellfish and corn. That's all you shuck.
Wow. How about that?
I mean, don't you technically like shuck a banana?
No, you peel a banana.
What's the difference? What's the difference? Shucking is peeling. Shucking and peeling are the same thing. Corn has a soft outer layer. You peel the leaf and the stringy bits off the corn. So what?
I don't know. It's just the way we call it, right?
I'm confused.
I know. But congratulations to Tyler Shuck. He can. Think about that. Being able to say, I'm the last one ever drafted born in the 1900s. That's wild.
Promo, by the way. Tolo Takeover next. Tolos, it is time for you to show them if you got them. 844-326-3663. That's the number that you can call and text the show that we'd really rather you call in this segment. It is your opportunity to take over the Fan Upstate airwaves. We give you this chance every single Thursday at 5 o'clock. Anything you want to talk about. Sports, sure, talk about it. Are you mad at your wife? Is your kid being a jerk right now? Whatever you want to talk about.
Your wife?
Well, that too. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to talk about, this is your chance. 844-326-3663. Call in, get in line. The phone lines are going to be lit up here momentarily, so don't wait. Call now and get yourself in queue for the Tolo takeover.
Real quick, we have a light right here, Diesel.
Yep.
It turns green when the phone rings. Those on the stream watching can't see the light. But I want you to know that everywhere I am in my life, and I'll be at home or the grocery store or at a ball game, and something flashes green. Guess what I do? I think somebody's calling.
You've been programmed.
Oh, my God. It happens at Ingles on the self-checkout.
There's a program to look left.
They have something that looks exactly like that.
Yeah.
And when I see it, I think, oh, somebody's calling. No, it's calling. You're at Ingles. You're checking out. I'm telling you, I have been programmed. I don't know if I've been programmed for anything else, but that is one weird thing that I just started noticing.
It's called indoctrination, Cole.
Yeah. I've been indoctrinated, Diesel, by a green flashing light.
Now you're a slave to the light.
I am.
By the way, you got a phone call.
There's the green light. There's the green light. Thanks.
Yeah. So, Tolos, come on. Get ready. Get in line.
What's your name?
Be ready to go. We've got 8 phone lines, and 2 of them are currently occupied.
2 down.
JD is on the line. He is batter number 1, hitting lead off for the New York Yankees. JD, what have you got to say?
Well, number 1, gentlemen, thank you for taking my call. Number 2, Cole, I've got a couple of things for you on that green light here in just a minute.
Okay.
But here's a couple of things that we have not covered yet. And I've got to say, it's the 2 most ridiculous things that I have heard this week.
Ooh.
Number 1, did y'all hear what Paul Maneri said about underestimating the talent in the SEC?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, dude? What do you mean you underestimated it? The SEC has won like 10 of the last 11 SEC or College World Series championships.
And they've won all of the SEC championships.
Oh, yeah. And they're 50-50 in SEC play.
No, I heard it. I heard the audio, JD. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because we hadn't touched on that this week. It is definitely, I don't know if alarming is the right word if you're a Gamecock baseball fan, but it shouldn't sit well with you. It shouldn't sit well with you. Does it sit well with you?
No, not a bit. It sent alarm bells all throughout Gamecock Twitter. Everybody's already saying the dude should be fired. And then he says some nonsense like this, so it just amplifies that talk even more. I still won't say it's time for him to be fired. But that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard a baseball coach say in my life.
How far are you away from saying he needs to be fired? Like, where are you at right now on that?
Middle of next year, maybe, if things go the same way this year. I mean, granted, we had a lot of injuries. Unfortunately for Ethan Petrie, chasing the all-time home run record, he now is probably out for the year.
Yeah.
So I give him middle of next year. He's going to have to definitely do some roster overhauling. Definitely going to have to work that portal. Going to have to work that portal a little bit, but we'll see what goes there. And then the other most ridiculous thing that I've seen that we haven't touched on at all, it just happened yesterday. Have y'all seen the video of the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Pittsburgh Pirates fan who everybody says fell over the outfield wall?
No.
Yeah, fell like a sack of potatoes.
No, I hadn't seen it.
He didn't fall. He jumped. The man jumped. I mean, I don't know what else. Like, if anybody watches that video and says, "Oh yeah, he just fell over the fence," that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And
he really jumped.
Denzel Washington, Denzel Washington in training day. Says, I'm going to put cases on all of you. Well, guess what? If y'all look at that video and say that he fell, I'm going to put glasses on all of you.
I already wear glasses.
Can't see.
Oh, yeah. Send it to me, JD. Or tag me in on Twitter or something. I hadn't seen it yet. Why are they making a big deal? Why are they making a big deal of it, though? I think he was drunk. He was obliterated drunk, but everybody said he fell.
So, truthfully, JD, what's the difference between jumping and falling when you're obliterated drunk?
Well, I mean, you can be graceful about jumping. I guess. I don't know. But he was sitting down behind the fence, and he got excited and jumped, and I guess tried to grab a hold to the railing. I'll send you guys the video though, so y'all can check it out. But
that sounds like he jumped, lost his balance, and then fell. Because when you watch the video, he tumbled end over end, like you throw a stick. That's how he tumbled to the ground. That to me says, because when you jump, even when you're hammered, you have at least a minimum amount of gracefulness. You don't tumble when you're drunk.
I hadn't seen it.
You fall. I always think he would like swan dive it, splat. Instead, he went end over end.
Is he okay though?
No, he's in critical condition still.
Oh wow!
Let me. I meant to preface it by saying that I hope the guy's okay. I hope he turns out to be okay. But for anybody who says he fell, he didn't fall. He jumped. And then Cole, last thing for you. You said something about the green light. Well, restaurant workers, we're trained. If we hear a receipt printer go off, I hear those things in my dreams. And Cole, I have not seen your garden yet this year. Y'all be blessed, not stressed.
JD, do you all? Oh,
what are we doing? Mic dropping?
I don't know. I wonder. Does JD also say corner in his house? Do we have any restaurant workers who listen? Any restaurant working Tolos? Do you say corner when you go around the corner in your house?
I did at restaurants I've worked at in the past. Yeah. When I was, I used to work. I worked at several restaurants.
Yeah, you got to say it. You've carrying plates of food.
I worked at Topgolf several years. Several years.
How about that?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, JD, I have not posted any garden pictures. You know what? He's right about that. I love my garden. We just
planted our garden 2 days ago.
All right, I've got mine for you before we go to the phone lines. I've got my garden to show you.
Oh, your garden?
My garden, yeah. JD, if
you had your takeover.
No, I don't have a takeover. I'm kidding. I will. JD, if you're still listening, I'm going to show it to you on the stream. Okay, I took a picture of it a couple of days ago. I love one thing that Tolos may not know about me. I love gardening. I do. I love.
What are you growing this year?
All right, I'm going to show you. I am growing. I'm glad you asked. This just turned into a garden segment. So I am growing. Let me get rid of this banner here. I've got a lot. I did a raised bed again. Okay. Got tomatoes, green beans, onions, zucchini. Got corn back in the back left. You see the corn in the back left?
Okay.
Okra, some squash, some cucumbers right in the middle.
You packing a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I did last year too. I packed a lot in it, and it kind of gets overcrowded once everything grows, but you can kind of harvest.
The problem is when you have the indeterminate varieties of tomatoes, that's when it gets to be an issue, because indeterminate grows to a massive size and it just keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing.
And you know what's
determinate stays a specific size.
The squash plants, and the zucchini plants, they just get so astronomically huge.
Yeah, they'll kill the grass around your garden too, because they shade out the grass.
So I'll tell you what I did on my raised bed. You see, about 3/4 of the way up. Last year it ended. You can't see my cursor, my mouse, but it ended about 3/4 of the way up. I took the end 2x4 off and extended it by about 9 feet. More dirt. It's not the cheapest way to do it, but look, there's no weeds. That's the best part. Think about that.
Yeah,
no weeds. That's what I love most about it. That's what I love most about a raised bed. There's no weed. You don't have to worry about the weeds in a raised
bed
until
the weed seeds get in there, and then you're.
Well, I've had that same bed for 4 years.
Not
now.
A weed, not a one. Interesting. All right. Hey, credit. We had some weeds in ours. We had to put down black plastic to kill all the weeds because you don't want to spray. You don't want to spray like weed killer in your garden because then you'll be eating weed killer. That's not good.
No, it's not. So sorry to get sidetracked there, Tolos, but I do love gardening. I love planting, especially in August for food plots and for deer season and stuff like that. Madcraft in Inman is up next on the Tolo Takeover. Madcraft, what do you want to take over these airwaves with today? The Braves aren't playing.
Well, I got a couple of things, but number one, look, we got Cole out here gardening. He loves gardening and he hates dogs. Cole's a cat lady.
Oh my God. I don't hate dogs. I don't hate dogs. I never said that.
Anyways, number two is South Carolina's baseball coach sucks. Okay, that's a good use for that term there. All right, number 3. I want to get back to this point. And I want to paint you a picture. I'll paint you another picture, Cole. All right, this time 2 sexy car washes. No, I'm kidding. No, I'll paint you a picture here. I want you to imagine that Nick Saban is having an interview like the one that Bill had, right? And in that interview, his wife, Nick Saban's wife,
Miss Terry,
right, is sitting over there, and she did the same thing. She shut off Nick Saban, and we all were going, wow, I've never seen Nick Saban act like this. Would you treat it the same?
If she were that
controlling.
Yeah, I'm saying she acted the exact same.
Well, if it was his wife, first year at Alabama, then you got something to go off of. If you're talking about a guy that's 20 years into his career and he's won 5 national, I would say, you know what, Nick? I think you know what you're talking about. I think you got this.
Okay, well, yeah, but what if Nick Saban had done all of that success and then relocated to, like, let's say Clemson, and this was his first year at Clemson, and then the same thing happened? Would you treat it the same?
I would still say, Nick, you get to do what you want to do because you've won multiple national championships at this level.
Yeah. What's your point here? I mean, are you not
Super Bowls here? My point is that we are spending too much focus on the fact that she's young.
What's your point?
That was Jerry Jones, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, I thought it was me coming back.
You never heard that clip of Jerry?
What's your point? What's your point?
What's your point? What's your point?
What is your point, Matt? Are we spending too much time making too big of a deal?
No, I'm not saying you're spending too much time talking about it. I'm saying that we ought, as a collective, are spending too much time on the fact that, listen, I think that he's being blackmailed. That's what I think.
Oh, my God.
See, you should have led with that.
That's the only excuse that I have.
That's your problem, Matt Kraft. You should have led with, I think, Bill Belichick's being blackmailed.
Blackmailed? How's he being blackmailed?
But anyway, but it doesn't. But even if he wasn't, like, let's say that they were a perfectly fine couple. That's what I'm saying is, like, we're spending so much time. Like, if you had seen this happen from, like, we actually did see it happen in the presidency. Jill Biden did it. Right. It's the same concept. If you saw that and you were looking at, like, Bill Belichick, the way we're treating him now because of this, like, 20-something-year-old.
So let me ask you this. You don't think I can't remember what segment it was earlier. We were talking 4:00. You don't think you agree with me in terms of it's a bad look?
Oh, yeah. No, I never said it wasn't a bad look. Okay. I'm just saying, like, you have to think about what, and like I said, the answer to the Nick Saban and his wife question, that would be really matter. Like, would you treat that the same? Would you look at Nick Saban's wife and go, wow, what is she doing? Wow, what is Nick Saban? I've never seen Nick Saban be worked around like this. Well, would you treat it the same way? That's Bill, my only question.
Madcraft, appreciate the phone call there. Bill won multiple Super Bowls, and now he's 70 years old. He's moving into a different level of football that he's never coached before at a school that he has no connection to whatsoever. And he's being brought in to modernize the UNC system to make it kind of more similar to an NFL or what's in line with getting NFL talent. So he's doing something he's never done before. So you can say he's won Super Bowls. That's great. But he's never won a national title. He's never won a single game in college football.
No,
so
it's true.
I'm not saying that he's starting from zero. I'm just saying he's not starting from 4 Super Bowls or whatever Bill Belichick won. Because that doesn't matter right now. That doesn't matter. So he is also completely changing his personality. Yeah. Remember Bill Belichick? Remember how few words you could get out of him? Now he's doing national television interviews.
Just do your job.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's something to be said for the fact that Bill Belichick's personality seems to be changing significantly with this new 25-year-old girlfriend, and it looks like she is wearing the pants in that relationship and really, really controlling him.
Tolo's just a few more minutes for you to get in on the Tolo Takeover at 844-326-3663. We go from Inman to Somerville, where Tom wants to take over. What's up, Tom?
Hey, guys, I'm not happy, and this for two reasons, okay? One, Matt Cat keeps saying I'm being too negative. Cole, a couple weeks ago, after the third Braves win of the year, you asked me how many games the Braves are going to win, and I said 89. That number hasn't changed, Mad Cat. So I don't know if you missed that. This is my response to him yesterday, because he called in after me and said I should stop calling. So, Mad Cat, I got negative when the Braves weren't playing good, but my win total did not change. They're going to win 89 games. That's not changing. Now, I'm going to continue to be negative, because when I'm negative, the Braves start winning. And the whole reason I'm doing that is because when you said we weren't being positive, the team wasn't playing good. And they were playing good, and we were being negative. So I'm using your logic here to prove a point. Now, second, it's one of the best weeks of the year, guys, and y'all hadn't said a word about the Kentucky Derby. This is, without doubt, one of the best sporting events on the planet.
Oh, come on. Name me 3 horses who were in it this year without cheating.
Oh, we got Luxor Cafe. We got journalism. And then we also got the GOAT in Bob Baffert's back. Okay, he's got 2 horses.
You mean that cheater?
Win. No, well, he's not a cheater. Well, he did cheat. That'd be crazy.
Okay. That's fair.
But he can still win this thing. You got Citizen Bull and Rodriguez, both Bob Baffert horses that could show up on Saturday and win this race. And if y'all watch it, if you don't watch it, there is nothing more exhilarating than that final stretch of the Kentucky Derby.
What's funny, Matt? What's funny, Tom, is you could have been naming off famous TikTokers, and I wouldn't know the difference between TikTok accounts and horse names.
Tom, I'm sorry, I don't have any desire to watch the Kentucky Derby.
My only interest in the Derby is it's my one annual excuse to make myself a mint julep and sit out on the back patio with a big funny hat.
Hey, if y'all ever get a chance to go, it is hands down. I'm even throwing in football here. When you have an event like that, it is hands down one of the best sporting events you can attend.
How?
And it is because it's so exhilarating. It's more exhilarating than any other sport on the planet.
It's 5 hours worth of build-up for 90 seconds worth of action.
Well, it's not 5 hours worth of build-up for 90 seconds of action. It's a whole day of racing, but obviously it's a build-up to the main event. And when you get those horses come flying around that final turn, there is nothing better. There's no better sound than that roar of the crowd.
This is what Tom listens to.
Is this your ringtone, Tom?
No, it's better than that. But I'm gonna tell you right now.
Tell us.
Don't count out Luxor Cafe. Y'all had Brett on there. He's from Louisville. He understands it. You put Luxor Cafe on your ticket this weekend, you're gonna be happy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate the phone call. I wonder, Cole, which Alabama song do you think is Tom's ringtone? Is it Mountain Music? Is it
some mountain music?
I think there's a chance that's his ringtone.
Grandpa used to play.
So
that's a good chance, yeah.
My Tolo takeover for today.
Let's do it in the next segment.
Okay,
because
let's do it in the next segment.
The reason is, Diesel, I have some audio in the next segment. It won't last 15 minutes, so that'll be great to
Cole said that before.
Oh my God. Next segment. Your Tolo takeover, and then we'll also get to Dawn Staley's speech yesterday at her statue reveal. But first, Diesel's right. Diesel, I saw the video. JD tagged me on Twitter in the video of the guy jumping at the Pirates game.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time seeing it. That's horrible. Like, he didn't fall over a little short wall. He fell from
the second deck.
Nearly the upper deck. I mean, I'm surprised the guy lived, and I know he's still in critical condition. Like, that is awful that can happen. But again, it's probably that way at more ballparks and stadiums than we realize, right?
I'm surprised we don't have nets to catch people from when they do that.
Gosh, that was awful. So, man, tough situation. Don't drink so much that you're falling off of ballparks. Yeah. Diesel, before we get into what Dawn Staley said yesterday at the reveal of her statue, your Tolo takeover today.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I got a problem with the people of Greenville.
Oh.
Every single time there's a news post about some area being revitalized, redeveloped, even if it's already existing development, people are automatically bitching about the roads, about the parking, about the infrastructure. Why are we building this thing? Why don't we fix our roads? And like, it's old hat. It's old hat. We had this post a week and a half ago about all the new changes to Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
Yeah.
Top comments. What about the roads? Don't fix this thing. Don't do this thing. You got to fix the roads. And then today there's a post about an area off of Lawrence Road. If you are familiar with Lawrence Road, it's where the old Best Buy used to be, basically between Woodruff Road and Big O Dodge, which a huge section of that right now is just a parking lot where I think what used to be the Best Buy used to be. It's just foundation and parking lot.
Yeah.
And they're going to redevelop that. They're going to bring in some community space. Of course, they're going to build some houses and some shopping and some places that you could spend money because developers want to make money off of this kind of stuff. But immediately people start bitching. What about the roads? Yeah. Don't do this. We got to fix the roads. Don't you realize that those two are very different pools of money? Developers have their pool of money, and the state that fixes the roads is a different pool of money. So the state is not developing the property. So there is no state, you should use the money on roads instead of property because they're not the same pool of money. You guys can stop bitching and moaning about change in this town. You have the opportunity to either talk to your city council members or to run for city council. If you want to fix it, if you want to change it, if you want to control it, if you want to have a hand in it, be a part of the process. Quit bitching about it on social media because that does nothing. Complaining in a comment section does nothing. Have you ever called your congressman? Have you ever called your city councilman and told him what you want? No, because you're lazy. All you do is bitch about roads online.
You've really upset Karen. In this segment.
And I guess I'm the Karen now.
Yeah, it does. You're actually Karening the Karen.
Yes.
Is what you're doing. You're Karening the
I'm
Karen.
I'm inceptioning the Karens.
And you know what? I think you're right. But look, people have to have something. People will complain about anything these days, and it doesn't matter if it's roads or new infrastructure. I mean, it is absolutely par for the course. Doesn't surprise me. No, I do like to take them.
So this, in case anybody's wondering what's going on, like I said, it's that chunk of land that goes from Lawrence Road back to the Swamp Rabbit and basically from Woodruff Road over to Big O Dodge. They're going to redevelop a huge section of that. Part of it's going to be green space, community usable space. The rest is going to be housing and shops, and I'm sure like 4 Starbuckses because they always put Starbucks in these places. But like, if you're not going to go somewhere because you don't live nearby it, don't complain about it. And if something you like gets shut down because nobody partook in that business's services and they went out of business because they couldn't make any money, well, then you have no right to complain either because you didn't go there enough to keep them afloat financially. Stop complaining. Just say, hey, here's an eyesore parking lot that's going to be turned into a green space that I can go use. Be happy about it.
No more complaining, says Diesel. No one is complaining, though, about the statue that was unveiled, if you will, in Columbia yesterday, as Dawn Staley spoke shortly after, and she had some really awesome things to say. We showed the picture of the statue on our stream yesterday. Most of you have probably seen it already on social media. It is Dawn Staley on a ladder with her ball cap cutting down a net and holding it up, kind of as she has in several pictures as she's cut down a lot of nets over the years with SEC championships and national championships. So it's really awesome. The statue looks great. Steve Spurrier was in attendance yesterday, Diesel. Here is what Dawn Staley had to say after the unveiling of her statue.
I agreed to the statue, not for me, but for the girl who will walk by one day and wonder who I was. Maybe. Maybe she'll look me up. She'll see that I did some things in basketball, of course, but I hope she sees much more. I hope she sees that I was a champion for equity and equality, that in my own way, I pushed for change, that I stood proudly in the space God called me to inhabit, not as someone perfect or extraordinary, but as a regular girl who used her gifts to open doors so other girls wouldn't have to knock as hard.
That was just a snippet.
Whew.
And it gives you goosebumps.
Yeah,
it gives
chokes you up a
goosebumps.
little.
It does. Very well done. You know me, I love Dawn Staley. Her entire speech was incredible. There's only one part of her speech that I do push back on that you just heard that I do disagree with a little bit, Diesel. And again, I'm nitpicking, but that's our job, right?
In basketball, of course, but I hope she sees much more. I hope she sees that I was a champion for equity and equality.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that. Look, I love Dawn, but being a champion for equality, Diesel, to me, this is my opinion here. Again, I say this very respectfully. That doesn't translate to her advocating for allowing different genders to play in different sports. And I know we've talked about that several times on this show. I love what she's done on the court. I think she's an amazing person. I spent some time talking to her when she was in Greenville, just me and her one-on-one, and it was awesome. I love her. However, that's the only thing I'd push back on. If you're for equality, to me, my opinion, Cole's opinion, other genders playing the opposite gender sport, that is an equality in my opinion.
I mean, haven't we heard Dawn beating the drum for whenever, women's tournaments are happening, that they get the same facilities and weight rooms that the men's teams get? I mean, that's what I think.
Maybe that's what she means.
That's what I think of when I hear her say that.
Maybe that's what
I
she
fought
means.
for the equity of women's sports and men's sports to be given the same amount of respect and resources. I mean, certainly you can look at her comments about that. And I mean, she said equity and equality, I think, or I don't know, equity and inclusion. I don't know.
Let's see.
That I was a champion for equity and equality.
That's right.
Okay, equity and equality and equality. She didn't say inclusion there, and I think what you're saying, again, nitpicking here, falls more into the inclusion area of they want to be included in the sport, so let them play in the sport. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
That's my only beef with Dawn.
Yeah,
in general.
I think that's kind of a buzzword. It's like the word woke is kind of going away, and that was more of Ron DeSantis's thing, the woke warriors. We're going to, so, and now that phrase is starting to filter its way out of our lexicon. DEI is the new it's the same thing. It's still people complaining about the same thing, whether you want to call it wokeness or you want to call it DEI. They're still complaining about the same thing. I think it's a buzzword that incites people right now.
I think it's really important for us, especially whether we're talking about this or another matter or politics or whatever it may be, to understand that we can disagree with someone and have a conversation with them. I would love Diesel to talk to Dawn about it, just one-on-one. Not on the record. I would love just to understand where she was coming from, because we've touched on this many times, and I'm going to move past it. But if she does believe what she said about a year ago about genders playing the opposite sport, right, in the opposite gender sport, rather, I would love to know where she's coming from on that, because if you say something, Diesel, that I disagree with, or I say something that you disagree with, I think it's important for us in society to understand why, right? Understand where we're coming from and understand why we believe what we believe.
Sure.
And once we get that why, you know what? We were able to respect people a lot better. So I love Dawn. Again, that's just me nitpicking, because that's the one thing that she has said that I don't disagree with. I do love this, though, her pushback towards Gino and a comment that was made not too long ago.
Most other places, if you win one national championship, they build a statue to you outside the building. Here, they won't even let you get to the front of the bus.
And contrary to the belief of one of my coaching colleagues, her statue wasn't in response to winning a national championship. It was in response to being a winner at life.
I love that. Taking the high road there and kind of still taking a shot at Gino for something he said. And look, like, ultimately they're both right. Ultimately, Gino's right. At UConn, one championship doesn't get you a statue built. Dawn's won more than one statue, or Dawn's won more than one championship at South Carolina, right? But she's also right. You know, I think the reason that when she said, I didn't agree to this statue because I wanted it to be about me, I wanted it to be about the future generations and somebody seeing that statue, I believe she really means that. Like, she says a lot of things, but Diesel, sometimes you can really feel the meaning behind her words, and I love the shot at Gino there.
Yeah, it was funny. That was funny. Yes, her saying she wants it to be basically about who she was off the court and the opportunities that she created and the doors that she opened off the court, the things that she did off the court. I think that's really big of her to say. And I think that's really important to focus on. You shouldn't just build championships for somebody or statues for somebody because they won championships, because championships are fleeting. Championships go away. I mean, do you still does somebody who looks at a statue, let's just pretend there was a statue to the 1972 Nebraska football team, if that's who won the national championship. Well, do you think fans go on campus and they see that and they feel that immense pride because they look at that statue? Probably not. I mean, it's cool. It's interesting. It's a marker of history, but hopefully the subject of the statue did more than just win a couple of games.
No, 100%. And you know what's interesting? She has opened the door for a lot. And we've talked about this many times as well. The reason I think she totally deserves that statue is because the same thing as I said a couple of weeks ago, Diesel, what I believe she's done for the sport of women's basketball. We all know what Gino means to the sport of women's basketball. We all know what Gino did for the game. But, man, in our neck of the woods, in our region, Dawn Staley just totally revitalized the sport. And she deserves a statue. I believe I'm on the conservative side, Diesel, of the statues. What I mean by that is I think too many statues are built. I think I'm on the conservative side of wanting statues to only be built for significant meanings, right? Not everybody gets a statue, to your point.
Well, if everybody gets a statue, what is getting a statue mean?
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. That's why I believe what I believe about our conversation yesterday with Steve Spurrier, who was there yesterday, Diesel, at the unveiling. I love Steve Spurrier. He's fantastic, but I tell him to his face, I don't think he deserves a statue at South Carolina. I think you said it. He probably deserves one in Gainesville, right? But at South Carolina, there's only, in the history of South Carolina athletics, there's only one person that deserves a statue, and it's Dawn.
Did you ever watch Chappelle's show?
No.
Are you familiar with the haters ball, the player haters ball? It's a meme. It's all over the place.
No.
Okay. Well, if Steve Spurrier were to ever get a statue, it should be in the Hall of Fame for hate. Okay, in the Hall of Fame for trash talking. That's where Steve Spurrier deserves a statue.
Oh, yeah.
Not in Columbia.
There's nobody better.
Yeah.
Nobody better. I mean, the phrases that we played yesterday, nobody better.
When we come back, it's time to see what else is happening out there in the sports world. We're going to go round and round and round we go with our Daily Wires. That's coming your way next on the Fan Upstate. Madcraft says we need to have an outside the station roadside memorial statue of a shirtless Diesel.
Ooh.
I'm just getting used to seeing my face on the side of the building with this window cling. Like a shirtless statue of myself.
A little much.
By the way, a memorial, it sounds like I'm dead, man. I don't like the sound of a memorial statue.
Yeah, it does kind of
I don't like that. It's time for our Daily Wires. Here's the buzz happening around the sports world. In case you missed it, the Braves lost to the Rockies yesterday by a score of 2-1. Atlanta not playing today. They're off before beginning a weekend series with the Dodgers. Can they take 2 of 3? Can they get 1 of 3? They got to get at least one. Getting swept kind of undoes all of that good momentum that you had over the last 10 games.
The Dodgers don't look like the same Dodgers team that we saw in the first weekend. We'll get more into it tomorrow, but I do think the Braves will play them better this time. I really do.
Will LeBron retire after being eliminated in the playoffs last night by the Timberwolves? He said, well, I don't know. Here's audio of what LeBron James had to say.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens. And just have conversations with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now.
I mean, the guy just lost a game, just got eliminated from the playoffs. Do you really think he had spent time while he was prepping for Game 5 against the Timberwolves thinking, hey, if we lose, what am I going to say to the media?
Yeah, you know what I want to know? My question that I would have asked LeBron right there, I would have said, LeBron, I don't want to ask you when you're going to retire, but who do you think will retire first, you or Bronny? Who's going to play basketball longer, you or Bronny? I mean, really? It's not a dumb question.
Oh, solid.
Sorry.
After conversations with the Indiana Pacers front office, Tyrese Halliburton's father, John Halliburton, says he will not attend the team's home or road games for the foreseeable future.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds like the Pacers said, hey, John, you're not allowed to come back. Now, if you want to make a statement that makes it sound like it's your decision, we will allow you to do that. However, we are not going to allow you to cause a scene on our courts anymore.
That is, I'll tell you what, man, that's huge. I didn't expect to hear that. I really didn't.
If he had said, look, I'm going to go sit in the luxury box, hang out, have a good time, I'd be like, okay, that tracks. That makes sense.
I thought he'd get a little, slap on the hand. Wow. How about
that? Former all-star pitcher Craig Kimbrell, who started his career with the Atlanta Braves, is working towards rejoining the team. The Braves signed Craig Kimbrell to a minor league deal. He has since joined the Gwinnett Stripers and hopes to work his way back into the Atlanta Braves bullpen.
Yeah, hopefully he's still a shell of what Craig Kimbrell used to be. I don't know if he is, but we'll see. We'll take it.
Hopefully he's not a shell. A shell means he's not much.
No, I'm just saying hopefully he's still – I hopefully he's –
can recapture part of his former greatness.
Yeah.
During a game between, we talked about this earlier, during a game between the Pirates and the Cubs at PNC Park, a man fell from the 21-foot-high Clemente wall in right field and remains in critical condition. The incident was deemed accidental, and the man was attended to by medical personnel on the field before being taken to the hospital. The video is all over social media.
Bad.
It's terrible to see. I mean, the guy falls over the wall. He falls 20 feet, and he does like 3 flips before he hits the ground. And it's tough to watch. You don't want to see somebody get hurt that badly to that level. But Cole, at the same time, there's a little bit of responsibility and culpability on ushers, security personnel, whose job it is to keep an eye on their sections. Part of it is, I think part of it, look, I'm all for personal responsibility. It is your responsibility to not get so hammered drunk that you can't stay in the upper deck of the stadium. But at the same time, you're asking somebody who is intoxicated to be responsible for themselves. And we've seen it how many times with bars and bartenders being sued and held legally responsible for over-serving patrons. I mean, if you see a guy is hammered drunk, maybe don't serve him another beer. Titans coach Brian Callahan says he is not ready to confirm that Cam Ward will be the starter for the team this year. He emphasized that all quarterbacks, including the returner Will Levis, will have opportunities to compete for the position. The Titans plan to divide quarterback reps based on performance with the goal of having the right players ready by September, which is a big old load of horse you-know-what. We all know that Cam Ward is going to play. Last night, the Capitals eliminated the Canadiens and will face the Carolina Hurricanes in the next round of the NHL playoffs. Michigan State Athletic Director Alan Haller is leaving the school. Deputy Athletic Director Jennifer Smith and men's basketball coach Tom Izzo will serve as co-interim ADs. I can't think of a less important sounding title than co-interim athletic director.
Yeah, you've got to put a co on there. I don't like co anything. Right. I don't co-coordinators. It's just weird. It's weird.
Co-host.
Co-host. I like that. I like that.
And finally, Cole, this one is specifically for Kane and all the other nerds listening. Sorry, I'm just joking with you guys. I really am. Hulk Hogan went on Fox News to debut his brand new wrestling league called Real American Freestyle and his Real American Beer. The league says that they want to combine WWE wrestling with The Voice in an unscripted competition format.
Wait a minute.
So I guess Hulk Hogan is hearing us saying, well, this sucks because it's not real. And he says, well, I want to make it real.
This is weird. This is weird. Really, really weird.
It's strange. I think it's just a vehicle to hawk his beer.
Could be,
honestly, which probably, I don't know. We'll see if it's good. If Real American Beer is good, I'll drink it.
Speaking of strange, let's dive into the Bill Belichick conversation. What did one host say about Bill Belichick's future with all that's going on with him and his college girlfriend? That's next.